Hi everybody, hope you're well. The flat cap is firmly in place. The Gretsch is out. We're going to be checking out today my very nice Gretsch G6120. All right, so this guitar is very special. It's become one of my favorite guitars that I own. I'll talk more about my true feelings, my true love for it a little bit later. But before we look at this actual model, I really want to point something out. And that's if you were to go on the Gretsch website, search for left-handed guitars, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you haven't done already. There's actually 9 different models on there, 9 different left-handed models to choose from. Of those, 3 of them are available in different colors. 3 of them, like this one, have a Bigsby. And the greatest thing is they've covered all the main price points on there. So if you want a Lefty Gretsch for under £1,000, you can. So we're really being well looked after. Of course, if you want one over £1,000, you can do that too. So yeah, it's great, and really impressed looking on there. I knew when I bought this one there was a few available, but I didn't realise there was so many, so it was nice to see. Moving on to this particular model, this is called the G6120LH, Nashville, Chet Atkins type thing. It's a lot of guitar for the money, and the one thing that really needs to be pointed out on this guitar is attention to detail. They've really gone all out with attention to detail on a particularly high-end guitar. Now, the body itself, obviously it's hollow body, made of laminated maple. The neck is maple, fingerboard is ebony, which is really nice and smooth to play on, so nice. Down here, the tuners are lock-in tuners on the back, which kind of help when you've got the Bigsby at the other end. On the Bigsby itself, they used to have pins that used to hold the strings in, and now you don't have to use them. They changed it, so it's just string through over to the bridge section here, which is really nice and really super easy for adjusting the action on as well. Be careful though, because that bridge is just held in with 2 very small pins underneath. That's another change they made. That used to actually be floating, I think, just sitting there. But it's not stuck in, so when you do take the strings off, that will come off really easily, and then, you know, the Bigsby will start going here, there and everywhere, so be very careful. Now, knob-wise, you've got a master volume here, then you've got independent volumes for each of the pickups, and then you've got a master tone, which is like the tone pot has like a little bit of resistance right on the end, so when you start to roll it back from its like fully open position, it sort of clicks. It's a really nice touch. And also the master volume that I mentioned is a treble bleed pot, so when you turn it down, it retains all the treble and sort of therefore the clarity of the tone as you're turning it down on the volume. Along with that, the color of this is called Orange Stain, and the pickups are Filtertron pickups, which I was never really aware of before, but they sound absolutely brilliant. So what modifications have I made to this, I hear you ask? Absolutely none. There is nothing I would change on this guitar. There's nothing that needs changing. Obviously, when I got it, as I said, I wasn't really aware of Filtertron pickups before, but they're basically Gretsch's own pickup. And I know you can probably get replacement ones and people do their own ones, but it's one of those where you plug it in, it sounds exactly how you want it to sound. I wouldn't consider changing them. And here's the thing though, they, you know, we need to talk about like the versatility of this guitar. It doesn't just do the bluesy and the country thing. It can do anything. And also because it's hollow body, you've got this massive resonance, fat sound when you go onto the higher gain stuff, hopefully that you heard in some of the clips. So it's a real workhorse of a guitar, and really, because of the versatility, has become one of my go-to guitars, more so than even my Les Paul or my Strat. If I want something where I sort of need a bit of both, this is a guitar that I go for. Because those pickups are somewhere sonically, they're somewhere between a single coil and a humbucker. So they're not as they're not got the sort of, you know, real sort of bitiness of a single coil. They've not quite got the solidness of a humbucker, but they sit right there in the middle in terms of sound. And therefore you can get away with doing so much with this guitar, whether it's clean or funky stuff or even heavy rock like overdriven, super solo-y. It absolutely does it all. I bought this guitar when I was looking for a semi. I've always really wanted a 335, but they're really tricky to come by, and you know, I've just never had one come up at the right time. So I started looking at a couple of other guitar options in terms of semis. One of them was this. The other one was a Duesenberg, which I never got to try, but I saw it online. Still haven't tried them, but they look like really nice guitars and sort of quite similar vibe to this. And it, like I say, I bought it in the view that, you know, I'll use it. I actually need it for a gig I was doing, and I thought, well, I'll use it, but it'll also be the first one to go if I need to if I need to get shot of some of my guitars. But in the last few years, that's completely changed. This will be one of the last guitars I ever sell if I have to, purely because it's just so nice and comfy to play. The scale of it as well, I meant to mention earlier, it doesn't feel, I know it looks like a big guitar, but on the neck it doesn't feel huge. It actually feels like quite a short scale. And one more thing I would mention about playability wise is when you try and get up the neck, anything past the 15th fret starts to get a little bit iffy, just because the way it's cut away and stuff like that, you know. So I've used it a lot. I've used it on a whole lot of stuff. I've used it predominantly in musicals, and it's just been great. But it works on everything else, you know, all the usual things, you know, weddings, bar mitzvahs, panto, yeah, everything, you know what I mean? So I really do strongly recommend, if you can't, you know, look, let's face it, it's like $2,500, you know what I mean? It's a lot of money. But if you can't push to that, you're in the market for something similar. There's one particular model, which is the G6120, I think, which actually comes in this color as well. It doesn't have the Bigsby, but it's one of the cheaper options. So I really would strongly recommend checking out anything with the Gretsch name on, because it surprised me. You know, I knew I'd like it, but I've ended up loving it a whole lot more than I thought I would. Okay, to finish, we're going to have our little lefty rant, and this one is actually a real bugbear of mine, and I'm going to talk slightly bizarrely about volume and tone pots. Okay, because the amount of times I've bought a guitar, and I'm not just talking cheap guitars, there's some quite expensive ones, and one brand in particular, you know who you are, do it all the time. You get the guitar out of the box, and then you go to turn the volume up on the guitar, and the volume goes down. And the opposite, you turn it down, the volume goes up. I'm pointing out now, it didn't happen on my Gretsch. Obviously, these were wired up perfectly. But why do they do it? The only thing I can establish is they've wired them up right-handed. So those pots, to us, they go down, but to a right-handed person, that's the right way they want to turn them when they turn them up. So it has to be rewired for us. So You turn it this way, it goes up. You turn it that way, it goes down. Simple. Why does it happen so often? I've no idea. But it's quite annoying. And the second part of this is actual volume and tone knobs like you get on a Les Paul and similar models where it's got the numbers on them. Because we turn them the opposite way, if you were to actually go by those numbers, it'd be going 10 to 1. 10 in its minimum position, 1 in its maximum position. So, not that anyone uses the numbers. I'm just saying, no one machines the right knobs where the numbers go the opposite way, do they? Yes, they do. There's one company that does it as far as I'm aware. And if there's anyone else, please feel free to let me know. That one company that manufactures their own knobs so the numbers go in the opposite directions for all their left-handed models is PRS. So good on you, PRS. That is it for today. I hope you've had fun, and I will see you on the next one.